Okay, welcome. If you are listening to this program right now, and you are because you can hear my voice, which is proof that you're hearing it. Again, we're doing something a little different. We did this last week. Last week, we did a podcast about the Spain, Madrid episode of Conan O'Brien Must Go, because that's when it dropped. Well, guess what? Today is the day that episode 2 in the series drops. And today's episode then is about New Zealand, because that is where I traveled. I am joined by the crack team as opposed to the team on crack.
Why not both?
These are all good quips, and we'll edit them out. Terrific team. Mike Sweeney, of course, at the helm. Came in a little late, wearing one of the 3 shirts he owns.
Yeah.
And I'm also joined by Jessie Gaskell.
It takes time to pick them out.
Okay.
Sorry.
Worth interrupting Jesse's intro for that little sprinkle. Jessie Gaskell, terrific writer, producer, joke writer, and Jose Arroyo, also a terrific comedic mind. And both of you have
being
joined.
Nice to us. I'm nervous.
It's a trap.
What
it's
a
a trap. It's a trap. What you do is you put honey in the trap, and then they fall into the pit and onto the spikes. This team, this unit, has come on most of the travel shows, just about all of them, if not all of them. Yeah. And so I'm talking about the TBS days, and all those Conan Without Border shows. And now on the Max series, Conan O'Brien Must Go, season 2, we are today discussing the second episode in the series, which is New Zealand. Guys, what did you think?
Now.
It's out right now.
Out right now as we speak.
It's amazing. I loved it. I actually saw it just to prepare for this.
Oh, was that true? You did
a little homework.
You did preparation for this? Okay.
For this. And I saw it. And
you're not ever supposed to watch these again. That's how it works.
I know.
So how does it hold up?
It holds up really, really well.
Okay.
Your voice went up.
Sorry?
No, go ahead.
No, it holds up really well. And you jump from the North Island to the South Island. You cover, we covered a lot of ground.
Covered a lot of ground, which is, I mean, that's hard in that country because it involves flights and driving.
Yes.
And
one of the things that we have found is in our travels is that, we go, and the premise of the show is I visit fans that have reached out to me through the podcast. And so these fans were pretty well distributed around both islands, the North and the South. I learned a lot. I had never been to New Zealand before. The people were extraordinary. They were lovely. We learned a lot about the ancient culture.
The Maori.
The Maori culture. And
not so ancient. It turns out they've only occupied the island for 800 years. Longer
Is
than
that true?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's what they were saying. Yeah, during that welcoming ceremony, which I thought was fascinating.
And who was there before that?
I think
before that, it was a medical conference.
Get away.
It was for Bausch and Lomb, and and it was interesting because before we began filming, we were taken by a Maori guide to this mountaintop that looked over. This is in the North Island in Auckland. And there was a long discussion about the history, and then he led a ceremony. It was kind of moving.
Blessing the film shoot.
Yes, he was blessing the film shoot.
Another ancient rite.
Yeah.
Which we should always do, really.
Yes.
We should. Oh, okay. So when I go to the American Girl store to drink too much with a doll, there should be a blessing first at the American Girl store. It was really nice to be introduced to the culture, and then visit the fans, and we learned a lot. Our visit coincided with something that is in the Guinness Book of World Records, which is part of the show, which is there is a ritual there called the haka, which for to the uninitiated, it looks kind of like a dance routine. Like a very old kind of...
It's like a flash mob.
Yeah, it looks like a flash mob, but it's something that's performed. It's been around for, I'm guessing, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's very important to the culture. And they tried to break the world's record for the largest number of people doing the haka at the same time. So they filled a stadium, and I was joined by none other than...
Taika Waititi.
Waititi, who helped out. And So that makes for a fun segment.
Yeah.
There were a lot of, when I look at the footage of that now, when we were editing, I was stunned by how many people were doing the haka at the same time. Because when you're doing it, you're in yourself, you're doing it, you're not quite aware. But when you
had just learned it too, so you were probably focusing on the moves. And,
I was just trying to remember how to do this correctly. And it's intimidating because on one side I had a, Maori guide expert.
Maka.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, I had Taika.
Yeah.
So people watching from the Guinness Book of World Records, and it's being recorded. So I was...
Lots of news cameras, yeah.
Lots of news cameras. I was in my head about, let's do this correctly.
I didn't go on the New Zealand trip because I was still trying to figure out how to leave my baby. Which
is a code for battling your addiction.
Yes, I was in rehab.
Yeah, exactly. You were at New Horizons.
Oh, I fell off the baby again.
Yeah. But it's crazy. Can I just back up for a second?
Yeah.
That you were with child when we went to
Norway and Thailand.
Norway and Thailand.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. Of course, you kept it a secret.
Well, it was early days.
You know that I have a policy that no one's allowed to... none of my writers...
Like Rumpelstiltskin. You get the baby.
None of my writers are allowed to reproduce. And it's a thing when you work with me that you have to sign. And so you broke the rules. And but so that was...
It was during the strike.
That was interesting that Dot, who's now how old?
She's a year and a half.
Year and a half. Dot was with us on two trips, which is really kind of cool.
Oh my God, that's right.
She's been to Norway.
I should have bring her on all of them.
Well, actually, this means that she's in the union. She's in the guild. She's in the Writers Guild.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
so now she's going to bankrupt the show.
She owes money
to
the guild. They're going to dun you.
She owes
She's in
dues.
arrears.
Yes, you weren't allowed to go.
I just hadn't quite figured out a way to be gone because I knew the New Zealand show. That trip in particular was going to be long. It's a really long flight.
Yep.
And the trip was like almost 2 weeks, I think, that you guys were gone.
Also, you were newly, you were still getting to know your daughter, and it was completely understandable that you were like, I don't think I'm ready to go on this trip.
Yeah, and you guys were really cool about it, I have to say.
But then immediately after that trip, you said, I so want to get away from this child. Sign me up for the other
once
show.
I saw the dailies.
It's amazing.
the child did come with us, but you stayed here.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Just weeks later, you were ready to go to Spain and meet Javier Bardem.
Exactly.
Somehow I did pull it together for that one.
You pulled it together
You're
for
right.
one of the most magnetic, sexy...
Mommy, Mom.
Yeah,
please, not now.
Not now, Dot.
No, but I was going to say that I was at home and I was, keeping track of the trip. But that first day that you landed, I woke up and all over the news were these shots of Conan doing the haka, and it was perfect because part of the haka is that you do these really grotesque war faces, and so the still that I kept seeing was you with your tongue out and your eyes engorged like a gargoyle.
Yes, of course, hips thrust forward.
It was because I said engorged.
Yes. Hips not engorged, devoid of any liquid.
Hips deflated.
That was the day we landed, which is probably the best time to learn the
It's
haka.
called tearing off the bandage.
15-hour
Very
flight.
quickly, we dove right into Maori culture and
me at a stadium.
Haka. Yes, exactly.
And in front of all of New Zealand. And then we did... I don't want to give away any secrets, but let's just say it's worth watching that episode to see what's happening in the stadium. Then we're making our way through the wilds of
on
New
the
Zealand.
South Island.
The North Island and the South Island are quite different. The South Island is the island where Peter Jackson filmed.
Both islands.
He was on both islands.
He was on both islands, okay.
But yes, some of the most dramatic.
Yeah, when the hobbits are hanging out at karaoke bars and driving catamarans around a marina, that's the North Island. But when the hobbits are going through Middle Earth, that's the South Island.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's rainforest, there's alpine environments in the South Island, and when we covered all of it.
Beach.
Yeah.
There's beach, yeah.
Some of the distances we traveled we had to go over this big mountain pass to get to
Hokitika.
and that was quite a journey.
For
Before we left the North Island, we did meet this young woman named Abby Howells, who was sort of getting me up to speed on, I wouldn't say customs, but pronunciations, how people...
Attitudes,
slang. And she was, without a doubt, one of the funniest people I've met.
Yeah.
Her improv, yes, and was off the charts funny.
Yes. You guys were doing like a 2-person improv.
Oh my God, I would tour. I would do a 2-person show with her in Vegas if I could. She's so funny and really delightful.
It's
She
so
should be an
charming.
international star. I
know. I think she will be.
Which is not something I say about everyone.
No, but
she was amazing.
She's kind of the breakout, I think, the breakout star of the New Zealand episode, Abby Howells. And I just want to give a shout out to her because I'm hoping I cross paths with her again. She was so uniquely funny. She's just funny in her bones and just so much fun. And I love the segments with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're at the ocean. And again, this is one of the magical things about these travel shows is you guys do a great job of finding these people. I don't know who they're going to be. I get out of a van. I walk up. They say, "This is Abby." Hi, Abby. And within 2 seconds, I'm thinking, she's hilarious. This is really fun. We did so much improv. It was really
I know. Well, and I normally wouldn't. I think someone telling me just watch this half hour of improv would maybe turn me off a little bit. But it was legitimately so funny watching the uncut version of it.
Oh, the uncut.
Yeah.
Yes. No. We would never.
No,
we cut it down. We would never ask you to watch half an hour of improv. And Jessie, how dare you suggest
it was
that's
hard to edit because there were so many good chunks in there. So.
And it all built as it went.
Yes.
So, and it just got funnier and funnier. And so then you're like, oh, how do we tighten this up without losing any of these great
I met the only other, I never meet anyone with the first name Conan, but you guys found someone in New Zealand whose name is Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
And I met with him. That was fun.
That was
He was
fun.
also really funny.
Really
He was funny.
dry
They are
and
naturally very funny people. And
that was our talent booker, Gina Batista, came in one day. She goes, I got an alert that there's a Conan O'Brien or something on her phone. She goes, I don't know that there's a Conan O'Brien in New Zealand.
he has one of my, he had
An
my
orange
Amex,
alert.
he had my Amex card. We figured out where the leak was.
And he was really funny
great.
too.
Yeah, he's
We
a
had-
councilman.
We found this a lot. It's one of the things that I like so much about the travel shows is that you go to these other countries and they're very self-possessed. They're like, oh yeah, okay, I know this. I've heard of this Conan guy. But anyway, and then they get on to just being themselves. And so the comedy is, it's a different
Yeah, they're
kind.
not nervous around you.
Oh God, no, no. There's a little scent of, I don't know, disdain.
Yes.
No, it's just
Anger.
being laid back. Abby mentioned that's one of the sort of national pride of New Zealand is how laid back people can be.
Yeah.
And
They were all very unflappable.
Yes,
No
exactly.
matter, just meeting someone in a DVD store, guys just buying, renting videos, and they're just like, hey, Conan. And they knew who you were, but they're just like, yeah. And they're just kind of sleepy.
You traveled 45,000 miles to
Yep.
be here, basically to the moon and back
Right,
to go see them.
Hey, that's cool.
Then we go to the South Island, and that was pretty fascinating just because the winding van ride up over the mountains
Yes.
through fog. Yes, there's a part of this life of making remotes, and there's no escaping it, where if you're going to do this, you're going to be in a van for a long period of time.
yes.
And some countries more than others. And New Zealand is a van country. You're in a van.
Yes.
It's not luxury transport.
And there's no way, I mean, if you want to get from, which city were we in the South Island?
Christchurch.
Christchurch. We were in Christchurch. Then for us to get to Hokitika, which is on the other side of the island south, and this is getting closer to Antarctica. That's the fascinating part. And I really wanted to go all the way south. And if we had been that kind of travel show that's actually trying to inform people, we would have, I would love to go back someday and go to the very southern tip, because that's almost as close as you can get to Antarctica without getting on a boat.
other than Patagonia.
Patagonia, I think, is a little closer.
We looked into it, and we were kind of like Dunedin and down that way. There's wildlife, but yes, it would be
a long
yank you
van
away
ride.
from the fan, and it becomes a whole different show.
Exactly.
This will not be in the special, but we finally get to Hokitika, and what you will not see in the special is we check into this hotel, and I was taken up to this room that makes no sense. I've stayed in every kind of hotel room in my life, and this hotel room, you take an elevator up 2 flights
to the third
floor, and then you walk down, and they say, just go through that door, and you go through that door, and there's some more stairs. The stairs take you up to an elevator that is not functioning. It's not a functioning elevator and hasn't been for a long time. But then you go up a ladder and there's another door, right. And then you're in a hotel room, and there's an elevator door in that hotel room, but it doesn't open. And that's in the living room of the hotel room. It was just, I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. And then and
they called it the penthouse suite.
Yes, penthouse suite.
Yes,
but it's the kookiest thing I've ever seen. And then we walked to a bar, and there was karaoke at the bar.
Yes.
And was it you, Jose, who played a cruel practical joke on me? Or was it... Oh, it was Chalemi.
It was Jason Chalemi.
Jason
perhaps?
Chalemi called up a song, and he said, "You're next, Conan." And I went, "I don't want to do it." And I said, No, you're next. And it was Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. A Whole Lot of Love.
Whole Lot of Love,
Yes.
which if you know the song, it's that, I mean, I don't know what the rules are. If I can sing, I can't really sing it, right?
Sing it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think so.
A unique cool. There's that part.
Yeah.
But then there's...
Led Zeppelin won't file a claim for
not for that. I'll just say a cat got trapped
Right.
in a grain thresher. But then, as you know, in that song, there's a long break
Yes.
of just...
Like-
And so everyone's looking at me, so I'm just gyrating in this tiny bar and gyrating while various weird 1969 noises are playing. Whoop, whoop. And then finally, and I was looking at Chalemi, and I was like, "You fucker!" And everyone's looking at me like, "You need to make this interesting."
Yes.
But it's impossible.
Yes.
And then you finally get to the John Bonham. Bum, bum. But again, that takes a while. It's the worst song to do karaoke
Some
to.
should not be on that playlist.
Yeah.
I agree.
And Jason
We've all been
Chalemi, wherever you are, I'm not going to fucking forget that. And I will pay you back in kind.
Oh, he's the only one who could pull that off.
That's so true.
I have the whole thing on video. I will say also it's Jeff Ross's
Oh.
birthday. We celebrated Jeff Ross's birthday.
That's right.
That's right. That's
Oh
why
my
we did karaoke.
God.
Is that why we did it? That's
That's
right.
right.
It was Jeff's birthday.
That's
Jeff
what Jeff
Ross's
asked for.
birthday. That's
Yes.
And Jeff said, I want
I want to see.
I want a whole lot of love in a very small bar. And again, there were people in the bar, regular patrons, who just could have cared less about any of us.
Yeah, they had no idea.
There I am. Yeah.
This is a photo of Conan just sitting there as it says musical break 12 measures.
Yes, 12 measures. And you know what I did? I sat down. I sat down, and I look like when someone's about to be executed by a firing squad and they allow them to sit in a chair.
Yes.
I'm like Gary Gilmore, just sitting there waiting for it to stop.
Accepting your fate.
Yeah. But anyway, I meet a fan there who lives in very remote conditions, and that's
Off
worth
the grid.
watching. Off the grid.
Yes. Yes.
So that was fun. It was again, none of these two shows are alike because these countries are all so different. And I stress, there are a lot of travel shows out there. I promise you, you will learn nothing from my
Don't
travel
worry.
show. In fact, my travel show, and I've said this before, it robs you of any knowledge you may have had of that country. It is a protein that eats at the brain. But I think it's funny.
great
I
tagline.
like to
Yeah.
think it's funny.
It's funny.
I hope it's funny. And
There's a couple of Easter eggs in it.
couple of Easter
Yes.
eggs.
Oh,
Yes,
yes,
yes, yes.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I get to do another dramatic turn.
That's
A lot
right.
of people right now are, if you like The Pit with Noah Wiley, if you
Yes.
like The Pit with
Yes.
Noah Wiley, watch my travel show
right.
on Max, because let's just say New Zealand has their own version of The Pit,
Shortland
which is
Street.
just as gripping
Intense, yes.
and intense,
Uh-huh.
and I get to act in it.
Mhm.
and you get to really see my acting chops.
Exactly.
And I think
We
Noah Wiley should fear me. He should fear because if he saw this, I think he would immediately.
That's why they rushed the pit on TV. It wasn't ready yet.
It wasn't ready.
Makes a lot
And
of sense.
they caught wind you were on Shortland Street.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the basic sound editing hasn't been done on the pit.
The pit was going to cover a week at the hospital, and they found out you were coming, and they said, let's
They
make
said
it a
Conan's
day.
doing Shortland Street in New Zealand, and he blows Noah Wiley out of the water. So what they did is they just quickly made it a day.
A day.
And instead of having all the script ready, a lot of it is just people reading medications.
And contraindications.
And
warnings on the
contraindications.
label.
A lot of diarrhea.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys again, and again a shout out.
thank you.
You're here with
Yeah,
me,
that's
but
great.
Mike Sweeney, Jose Arroyo, and
Got the accent on there.
yeah, I thought that was important. And of course Jessie Gaskell, and so glad that you guys work so hard to make these shows come out, and a shout out to the whole team. Blay, of course, you
Blay
were
was
there.
Yes.
Eduardo and Adam, you're in the studio, but you did nothing for these shows. Shalemi, shout out to you, Jeff Ross. I'm very lucky to have you guys, and I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to quickly make a joke about you guys being awful and a lodestone around my neck.
Or edit it out.
Shout out to Bex, our fixer in New Zealand as well.
Yes.
She
Yeah,
put
and
together
to
an
Beck's
amazing
beer.
story. Okay, and to Beck's beer, sure.
Which I probably shouldn't do because it doesn't matter.
No,
okay,
but
'cause
we do have a
I'm a Miller
sponsorship
Lite
with
guy.
the fixer.
Yeah, Miller Lite.
Bex
Miller
is
Lite.
the one who found Abby Howell. So
And yes,
all
exactly.
credit to
That's
Bex
great.
for
This
that
is the segment
She's
called
so
Too Much
And our
Information.
sheep.
Yeah.
We'll
And
call
also,
it the end credits.
yeah.
It's the end credits.
The Hyundai Excel company for
They were amazing.
renting us a car.
The Kia Bird.
You were
not the
were
car.
hilarious in many different ways on
Thank
this
you.
New Zealand
Well,
trip.
listen,
Yeah.
I'm
It
a
really
painter
was.
who uses many different colors.
Yes. It was
which is my way of saying funny in different ways. Anyway, check it out. It's on Max.
Two-dimensional.
There are 2 episodes now out. Last week was, of course, Spain. And this week is New Zealand. And you can tune in next week. We'll be doing a podcast about the 3rd episode in the Conan O'Brien Must Go series, and we'll see you then.
Cliffhanger.
I'm hooked.